What did Joe Mehmet think of a 16-year-old Lee Stafford?
And be honest.
Broadcasting from Sheffield, it is the 1st of April 2021, and you're listening to Salonomics. The Bitcoin price is currently $58,300. I'm your host, Aaron Dawn, and joining me once again from North London is my hair guru, Joe Mehmet, and also we have a special guest on this week's show, Mr. Lee Stafford.
What was that?
I don't know. Lee just did some fancy stuff with the intro and stuff.
It's very fancy.
Joe, have you got a light you could turn on so we can see your handsome face?
Well, I could have. Well,
there we go.
My wife would be happy with her sort of like her clothes hanging out with her clothes up and down.
No, we can't see them.
Dirty knickers hanging over the bed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's one here. There's dogs and things. You know what I mean? Yeah, my wife would like that.
Right. Welcome to the show, everyone. Salonomics. We have gone like fully high definition. Joe's got his ear bins on. He's looking alien-like over there.
It's my Bluetooth.
Tech Pro now.
I'll give it.
Mate. He's a Tech Pro. He's downloaded Chrome today, so let's give him a round of applause.
Yeah, my first. I mean, why would I need Chrome when I got Safari?
Well, apparently so you can communicate with us today, apparently.
That is true.
So then, thanks for joining us today, Lee. It's a good pleasure to welcome you to the Salonomics podcast.
Yeah, you are first guest.
Lovely to be here. Am I your first guest?
First guest. Yes, and I hope we won't be the last
Joe
either.
was my first guest. Joe was, and then he never went away. He's been. I
can't get rid of him.
Can't get rid of him. Man. We decided then and there, didn't we? We was like, well, let's start a podcast. It was fun.
Yeah, exactly.
We can bring up certain subjects that we've both got opinions on, and we can just thrash them out and explore them.
Yeah,
and that's where we are today. Salonomics. This is our 25th show. This is our first ever guest.
25th show.
The first time we've ever used video.
Yes.
Because a lot of feedback I was getting from the early shows was, it's a bit like you're not on TV because Joe has no face for radio.
I was never good on TV anyway. You know that. I do like the YouTube when we do the YouTube thing.
No, I know.
Didn't really like it. Really.
Right, but the point is, we tried it, didn't we? We like stuff. And we've got this principle, Lee, of if we enjoy it, we carry on doing it.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. Right,
yeah.
And this relates nicely into where we all are in our careers now. Obviously, if people don't know the backstory, Lee has been a hairdresser. He's been the head of an international brand for 20 years now. Before that, he owned multiple salons all over the UK. International hairdresser, product range. You know, there's pretty
academies.
Was you ever hairdresser of the year? Was you the hairdresser of the year?
Yeah, award-winning. Yeah, we'll throw that in. We did a show on our all the scan, didn't we? Like two weeks ago. Which was a great show.
Why is that? Sorry, guys. I did have that on mute.
Schoolboy.
Yeah, I've been judging the British Hairdressing Awards and the Creative Head Awards, amongst other awards, for many years now. So I've seen it on both sides, you know.
Both sides.
Yeah.
So basically, I just wanted to do a little brief overview of Lee, and obviously I now want to do a little brief overview of. Well, we don't need to give your story, Joe, but hopefully by you two explaining how you first met. Obviously, Joe.
Love is in the air.
Joe used to work at a salon called Neville Daniel, which is one of the top London salons back in the day, and still is to some respect.
No, it doesn't exist. How can it be? Doesn't
exist.
Right,
whatever. All right, semantic. But basically, Lee turned up at Neville's salon as a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 16-year-old teenager. His mum brought him in for an interview. And then how long was it between the interview and you starting, Lee?
I can't remember. I mean, I think it was pretty much
a few days
straight away. I mean,
it must have been straight away.
I don't know if many, young people actually go to interviews with their mum and dads.
No.
I mean, is that a normal thing, do you think, Joe?
Not in this day.
Only in Essex, not in central London. I think it's sort of demographically speaking, in Essex, yes, you know. Yeah, but
I think my mum was so keen to get me working that she was just.
But why did she choose Neville Daniel, though? Did she choose Neville Daniel?
No, you know what it was? I was in the salon with her in Essex, and the fella who was doing her hair gave her a few salons for her to ring. And Neville Daniel was one of them.
Sorry, we just lost Lee for 2 minutes. But yeah, no, let me carry on to the story. So essentially, Lee turned up at Neville where Joe was a full-time member of the team. Yeah. So we first met Lee when he was dragged up to London from Essex by his mum to visit, to come for an interview. And then obviously on day one, when Lee went for his first full day as a 16-year-old apprentice, he had to pretty much assist you, right? So what I want to know is, what did Joe Mehmet think of a 16-year-old Lee Stafford?
And be honest.
If you remember the first question I asked you, which football team do you support?
And I said Arsenal.
That's it. Give it. That was it.
For me. Did he say the same for me?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, do you like women? He goes, yes. Do you like football? Yes, Arsenal. That was it. Thank you very much. That was it. It was like, you know, it was in. No, it was, you know, it was, you've got to sort of take
defining memory, Joe, of Lee at 16. Like when you first, what's your defining memory?
Like I feel dedication, mate. I really believe, right, to come from Southend all the way to central London at that age, it probably costs more money.
Oh yeah, I didn't earn all my money wages when I travel to and from work.
Exactly. I mean, that is dedication, right? That actually sets the foot.
But tell me this, Joe, because I've never asked anybody this question before. Were there other young people that were travelling 4 hours a day to get to and from work?
No, you know what? I was speaking about this the other day when Lee said, when Aaron said you were coming up to Leeds, right? I was thinking about it. You're the only person that I know.
Right, wow.
That did that journey. I know there was hairdressers who lived in Luton, Brockley, you know, South London, things like that, but not juniors. Juniors are a different sort of like approach to it, right? Because when you're young, you're 16, 17 years old, it's a very different work mode, the ethics, because you already had a work ethic at that point then. Really, and you know what you wanted, so it didn't really matter what it was you were getting then, right? Is what you wanted. That's how I see it, and what you wanted was the platform for where you are today.
I think Neville Daniel it taught me, well, it was a great place to start your journey, because it was in the middle of the King's Road, and at the time, the King's Road was the hottest place in London.
That's right.
You know, it was, you know, old Daniel used to drive up to work every day in his brand new Mercedes.
Yeah, he loved the Mercedes.
Someone would valet park it for him. He'd have his jewelry jacket on, and I was like, wow, this guy's like, you know, he's wealthy, and you know, and the clients that were coming in, you had mixtures from supermodels and heiresses, and you know, and all the team like yourself were pulling up in motorbikes and were cool and doing shoots. I mean, as a young 16-year-old, you know, traveling up from Essex, it made an impression. I thought, wow, this hairdressing lark, there's something in this, you know.
It was rock and roll. It was rock and roll, and that's how hairdressers should be. I mean, we talked about it in previous shows, right? It really was rock and roll, because I mean, regardless of the journey, right? What time did you stop? At 5 o'clock in the morning. You kind of got to leave home, right? Because you had to be at work at a certain time, didn't you? And Neville Daniel were very strict on punctuality. You couldn't afford to be late. I remember when I was junior. But the amazing thing was that you get to work, say 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was gone just like that. You know, before you know it, it was 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And the great thing about it was that there was never 2 days the same. Was there? I mean, it really was. Because all of a sudden, right, you would just go by. Because, I mean, you did your apprenticeship, what, 2.5 years, right? Before.
No, I wasn't there that long, actually.
What, over a year?
I don't even think I was there a year.
Really?
No. But when I was there, you know, you had people like Errol Douglas were there.
Right.
Richard Ward was there. You know,
Thomas
McIver.
So you started at King's Road, and they closed the King's Road down, and we all moved to Sloane Street.
Yeah, I was gone then.
You was gone by that time.
Yeah, I was gone.
So where? Because if I remember rightly, right, Thomas McIver did work in. He did work in the King's Road. He did actually. He did.
Yeah.
Do you remember him? He always wore black, didn't he? He always wore black. Izzy Miyake. Izzy Miyake always wore black. That was.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, what has happened to Thomas McIver?
Well, he was actually very successful at one time, didn't he? He started Streeters, didn't he? He went over to New York.
Streeters.
Yeah, with his wife, I believe. I mean, I would know the story more about than I would, because he's more into that sort of like that world than I am. Yeah. But he did start Streeters, and that's what he wanted to do. He didn't want to do clients. Like, he actually wanted to charge like 200 quid just to pick up a comb. That was his operators.
Yeah,
it really was. Yeah, I thought if I had to pick up a comb, I would have charged 200 quid. And this is in the 80s.
Yeah,
because I mean, so he went over to New York, didn't he? If I remember rightly, right, Neville Daniel didn't like him because he was uncontrollable. I mean, he was very talented, but he was uncontrollable, really.
Yeah.
In a way.
I always remember rightly. There was always a little bit of tension between Thomas and Daniel.
There was because I mean, Daniel was very much like yourself, Lee. He had a very strong work ethic, and he went on those principles, right? Which I learned, you learned, and we are where we are today. Thomas didn't have that ethics. He was too much of a maverick. Fucking talented. Excuse my French, but he was talented beyond boo. But I think when it came to doing clients behind chairs, he didn't have that skill set. I think in front of a camera, awesome, but behind a chair, different level, really. And I think
that's really interesting. So it goes back to how I categorize you two. Like in my brain, obviously you two have been two of the biggest influences on me, not only as a person, but in terms of career and, your principles and how you've kind of progressed through your career. Joe, you're very much on the I'm a service provider.
Yeah, that's it.
Almost. And Lee has always been very much more the, a hairdresser artist kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, and I think you're explaining there with Thomas McIver.
McIver,
It like he was the artist to your service provider. Would that be fair?
Well, yeah, because we had Roger. Remember Roger Britnell, Lee?
Yeah, tall, skinny. Always Catherine Hamnet.
Exactly right. I mean, he was more the creative director. But the only thing about Roger Britnell was that he wasn't very approachable, was he? He was always very standoffish. Amazing.
Quiet.
Yeah, but amazing cutter. I mean, I look at cutters, right? And I think of certain people, and Roger's there in that category.
And the other one I used to love, Mario.
Oh, Mario, bless Mario. You know he changed his name, don't you? By default. Beethoven. He was Beethoven.
What happened to Mario?
Unfortunately, he died.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he went to Peru, right, about 7-8 years ago. He just wanted to go to South America, and he died. He died there. Nobody got there. It's one of those situations, right? He just completely switched off life, and he died. But we had some great laughs with Mario. Did you ever get out with him? Oh God,
I was quite young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be out at like 16, I probably did go out for a few beers with him. I can't really remember.
Hey, he was a walking alcoholic. He was an alcoholic, right? But he would have one drink, it was gone. Because he was in the system all the time. He just wouldn't come out. You know what I mean? But it was brilliant. Tim died as well. Remember Tim?
Yeah.
He died as well.
What did Tim die of?
He had a collapsed lung. He did. He did have a collapsed lung, right? What he did, he had a murmur in his heart. We were playing golf. We were in Spain, Marbella, one of the golf courses, not Salto Grande, but Nacho. What's oranges in the Los Naranjos golf course, right?
Right.
And we were on the 5th hole, I think it was, because we just all started.
You weren't arguing about scores again, Joe.
No. Actually, this is a very funny story beforehand. We went into golf course, right? Anyway, Tim went into the rough, okay, and the rough was called these like long reeds. Anyway, he's trying to get himself out the rough. He had a heart attack.
What, on the golf course?
On the golf course, I swear to God, right?
With you?
Well, yeah, we were with Tim, Mario, no, not Mario, Noah and Tony, right? We were 4 of us.
What, Tony who we was talking about earlier?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, he had a heart attack on the golf course. So we rushed over to him, but we were right in the 5th hole. So how do you carry someone? We saw this gamekeeper on a buggy, right? Without to say, "Mon amigo, heart attack." Oh, we sort of doing the animation that our friend had a heart attack. Anyway, we sort of got him onto the trolley, the buggy, took him to the clubhouse. Clubhouse ambulance came and everything. He was there for about 6-7 weeks because he had insurance, but because the air ambulance cost an awful lot of money, they just kept him there till they actually could fly back first class, really. And then he never recovered from it, really. You know what I mean? He went on work.
How old was he, Joe, when that happened?
He must have been in his 30s. You know, I mean, I'm going back about 1990.
That's frightening, isn't it?
You know what I mean? But it was this, anyway.
No, I was I've just come up with the title of today's show because I feel that this probably.
I thought this was a show.
Yeah, this is a show, but now I've got the name for it. It's going to be called Death and Taxes.
Yeah, guarantee. I'll tell you a funny story in golf shop. I mean, the day before, right? Because we went Club Med. That's it. We were in Club Med. The day before, we were playing this golf course, right? There's 4 of us. After a couple of holes, right, this ball, right, came whooshing past us. Yeah, it was a bloke playing on his own. And anyway, as he walked near to us, yeah, he saw he said, "Sorry, guys," and he started to talk to one of our friends, Noah. And Noah says to me, "Look, he wants to join us." I said, "Right, there's 5 of us." But I said, "If it's up to you, Noah, right? If you want to join us, right, then that's your problem." So we started. So there's 5 of us on the golf course, yeah, which is illegal, as you know. Anyway, after a few holes, right, I heard this noise. "F off, you bastard!" And he started throwing his golf club at this bloke, and this bloke's running away. And we called him back. Right? I said, "No, what's happened?" "He pinched my bum, didn't he?" So this guy, right, pinched his bum, right? And he obviously, he got the wrong message, didn't he?
Well, you can only get one message, can't you?
That's right. Brilliant.
I mean, so this is what I was going to kind of try and approach in today's show about cancel culture as well, and how it's evolved since you guys used to be on the salon floor together to now today. You know, a lot of your memories you will share, and what obviously, because we're obviously converting all this VHS footage from 30 years ago, a lot of the stuff that we're seeing is not palatable for today's audience.
Is it not?
Do you know what I mean? Well, I mean, in terms of like the actual context of like kind of what's going on, you know, the parties, people getting drunk and getting like, you know, just young people having fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Look at the schools these days.
Parties are getting fun, though.
Yeah, no, but I mean, in terms of like the context of like your career, where you are now, and like, you know, where it needs to be. So basically, I was going to say, so Joe, what did you recognise something in Lee when he was 16, which now you can see where his career trajectory has got into today? Could you see that?
Yeah, listen, like I said at the beginning, the dedication to actually get up in the morning, do that journey into town, I think that is the quality. Because look, when you're a 16, 17 apprentice, right, you just, you know, the way he holds the scissors, the way he holds a hair or a hairdryer brush, right? I mean, that's the difference between Lee and myself at that time when it came to blow drying, right, was that I couldn't handle a brush. He couldn't. He could hold a hairdryer, but he couldn't handle a brush. So you can't really sort of tell what the qualities of a junior is going to be like.
Technical though, but his mentality and his attitude.
Well, it's a dedication.
We're going to go far, yeah.
Yeah, because you go into work, right, and you've got to stay focused. And that's the thing that these academies, which I know that Lee's got his academy as well, right? I'm not sort of like they don't teach these certain je ne sais quoi. Do you know what I mean? You can't teach it.
Well, I think I was quite fortunate because, like I said earlier, I was in a place that was fun and inspiring. So, as a young person, when you're in a place that's fun and inspiring, it's a bit easier to get up and go to work, isn't it? There's a lot of people out there that are going to academies, they're going into salons, where it's all a little bit sweaty betty.
Yeah, and it's not very inspiring.
That must be, even if you've only got 5 minutes to travel to and from work, you've still got to be there 9 hours a day. And that's the problem, isn't it? You really need to be somewhere where you're surrounded by people that you aspire to.
Yeah, and inspired by. Yeah.
But did you want to be better or be as good? I mean, because I know when I was working with Daniel, right, as junior, I wanted to be better than him. I really did. Whatever Daniel had, I wanted to make sure, right, I had that plus me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so that you had that competitive streak, right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, but I couldn't be competitive because I was holding the hair, right? I couldn't sort of say, do this. I was holding the hair. I was watching. But I was watching. But I knew that whatever he's giving me, I'm going to absorb, and then I had my own bits and pieces. Did you think that as well, Lee?
I can't remember. I know that I was inspired by Daniel and the salon and the King's Road and all you guys and girls that work there. I was quite young though. I know that when I left Neville Daniel, probably a couple of years later, I remember when I was trying to persuade Steve Turner to close his shop down and come and join me. My pitch was that I wanted to be bigger than Vidal Sassoon, and at the time, Sassoon in the 80s were mega. So I suppose I always set the bar high because you have to. You have to have something to reach for, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
And I always remember that, even when I was very young and I was, I couldn't do hair very well and no one knew me and I was starting my career, I was looking at people that had made it, like your Anthony Muscolas and people like that, who were incredibly influential and talented at the time and were brilliant. But I always remember thinking that they're only a man. They're only a woman. Whatever they can do, I can do if I work hard enough. That's so I never thought it was unobtainable.
Yeah. Because if they could do it, I could do it.
Exactly. They're just a person. And if you apply yourself, if you work harder than they are, or they have, then you can go beyond where they are. So I always had that belief.
No, you're 100%. Look, I think that's spot on because you can't get a better reference than that, I think, because that's exactly how I saw it. I probably wouldn't put as eloquently as you did, but that's exactly how I saw it. If they can do it, I could do it. Because at the end of the day, that's the thing about our industry. There was no discrimination, was there? There was no gender issues. It didn't matter if you were gay, you were this, you were that. It didn't matter. I
love Glyn. Was it Glyn?
Yes.
Oh, I loved him. He was a little fat Welsh.
The chef.
He's done all the catering in the salon.
That's right. I'll tell you a story, didn't I?
Yeah, Joe's told me a story about
I was a 16-year-old blue-eyed blonde boy, you know what I mean? And he loved me.
Bushy exactly. And they did that.
He was amazing.
And this is it, we're talking about 30. I mean, when I started in the 70s, right? You started in the 80s, right? They're sort of a decade apart. There was no issues those days. I mean, there was all these people around, right? But we had no issues with them. Today, there seems to be an issue with anything.
You think so?
Yeah. It's like this. If I don't like you, right? You don't like me. Okay, I'll say you're homophobic or you're racist. Not because you don't like me, you know, or I don't like you. Whereas those days, right, you do like someone, then you do like someone. They were this and they were that. Like I mentioned about our friend Tony, right? You do like him, you like him. These days, right, you don't like someone, you are
you label.
Instead of accepting the fact, right, they're just an arsehole or whatever. And that's what I find today's wrong with society, which affects the workplace. It affects everything, really. You know, you're talking about the cancel culture. I think the young generation are getting a very, very sad message for their future. I'm lucky I don't have children, to be honest with you, because I will leave the country if this is the narrative now, because you know these historic cases with these school kids. I mean, we all bantered the school, didn't we? We all sort of said something to a girl or pitched their bottom or pitched their whatever, and vice versa. That is actually historic sex problems. That's you know what I mean.
The other day, she was saying that when she was younger and used to go to clubs, you'd have men pinching your bum all night long, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. And you turn around and it'd be like, wasn't me? And
but you saw it as a bit of, was it flirting? Was it a bit of flirting? Was it a bit of fun? Was it sort of like sexually?
Did it make you feel uncomfortable?
No.
Or did it make you feel like...
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. No, it didn't make me feel uncomfortable because I was so used to it.
Sure.
You go out, you get a hand up your skirt and you get your bum pinched.
Yeah.
Every now and then you get your boob grabbed. When you're dancing, you get some man coming up behind you and rubbing his willy on your bum. It literally
Wow. I never did things like that.
I know it was me. But no, it was one of those things. It happened all the time. It never got me angry. I just thought that's what happens when you go out with a short skirt.
Exactly.
Looking back on it in hindsight, though,
looking back,
it's not a good thing, is it? I mean,
I think we've learned to accept now that it's bang out of order.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be going around doing that, can you?
No, but you know what? This has all kind of come to light over lockdown, and I'd be interested to know what happens when all the nightclubs start opening.
No, the Me Too movement's slaugted that.
Yes, but hasn't it?
I don't think anyone was going to nightclubs ever.
But can I say something? I mean, what she was saying, she's 100% right, yeah, in fact, but that's flirting, right? That's all right. There could be quite a bit of sexual predatory to it as well, quite nastiness. But also, if you take away the light-sighted side of it, right, a bit of humour, that disappears, doesn't it, from our culture? And where does that leave the young generation if there's no humour in the flirtation?
Don't you think that you can still have humour and flirtation?
No, I don't think so.
Your hand up someone's skirt. You just got to be a bit
clever. There's a limit.
Yeah, you just got to be a bit clever.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is typical of context because, like, in today's science society, obviously context is like really important. Like on the situation, the context of you going out in your short skirt at the nightclub, you know, that was kind of the done thing there. A lot of stuff that people are getting cancelled for today is written down on the internet, where context is very hard to shape, isn't it? Like you might be cheeky, tongue in cheek, like, you know, playing around the salon, but because people can read each other's faces and go nudge, nudge, wink, wink, it takes that kind of intent out of it. Do you know what I mean? It makes it.
And
jokey.
Also, when you're in the playground doing that, it's he said, she said. Whereas when you've got it on, when it's written down on Instagram, online, you can't get away from it, can you?
Well, there was that girl, right? That sort of like well-to-do girl at private school. She's sort of like she's got this website, hasn't she? Where anybody who's been harassed in a playground or school, right, to go on this website and call these boys out. I mean, there's a boy, right? He's 18 years old. When he was 15, 16 years old, right? All right, he might have touched a girl's boobs or whatever, but his life is ruined at 18 years old. What life has he got? That's the problem, I think, that the young generation have got, because it's quite easy to sort of like not label it, but criticize their innocence. Because I think maybe at 21, 22, 18, 19, I agree with they shouldn't do it, but at 15, 16, 14, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of innocence.
It's part of growing up, isn't it? It is part of growing up, you know.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, when are police going to be sent round to like 2 11-year-olds' house because they were fighting in the playground?
Well, this is it. They're also, you get girls, right? And you got children at 13, 14, they're insecure. Maybe a boy would chat them up. That's what should make them feel good, not actually make them more defensive minded. Yeah. Because I don't have children, so I can't speak on their behalf.
Why didn't you have children, Joe?
Sad story, Lee. We actually, I'm not going to bring out the small violin, but we were those unfortunate people that my wife experienced the 3 disasters. She had a miscarriage. We had to terminate as she was ectopic. Did you ever watch the Dirty Harry films? Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry films.
Mm-hmm. Loved Dirty
Go ahead, make my day, right?
Yeah, right, there was one film, right? There was one of his films, right? His catchphrase was, "Our souls are like opinions. Everyone's got one." You know what I mean? And because it was always anti-liberal.
Was that his line?
Yeah, that was his line. Yeah, that was from his film. Our souls appears like our souls. Everyone's got one. That was from his film. And it was just anti-liberal, anti-establishment. Because Dirty Harry, right, was a fair, reasonable copper, but it was just anti-liberals because it's just prevented him from doing his job. Yeah, really.
Well, I mean, cancel culture by definition is about opinions. Someone expressing an opinion that somebody else doesn't like, and therefore labeling them and getting them ostracized.
Yeah, but wasn't that a court case a couple of years ago where you had the right to criticize? If you know what I mean, as much as you got a right to praise, you got a right to.
No, I didn't say criticize. I said express an opinion that somebody else may find offensive. So that's where cancel culture is. So if that person has expressed an opinion, they can then be ostracized and labeled as racist, bigot, Brexiter, Remainer, anti-vax, you know what I mean? Anti-lockdown, COVIDiot. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's reaching for labels to put everyone in a bucket.
Why is that then? Why is that? Is it because they're failures in life that they need to gravitate to something? I mean, who's the last great successful person you could actually look up to? Because I was thinking about this, right? If you look at sort of like Roman Abramovich, sort of like Mohammed, the Crown Prince, or the Chinese and things like that, right? All these guys are mega wealthy, yeah? They don't tell you how to live your life. Whereas you got Jeff Bezos, you got Zuckerberg, you got Musk, you got that guy from PayPal, you got all these, Google. They all tell you how to live their lives. Do you know what I mean? They all tell you how to live a life. Whereas the ones with the real money, because they got hard cash, they're not telling you how to live your life. The Americans, they've got sort of technology, they've got whatever. But I don't think they've got hard cash behind them as such. They're billionaires.
Is this so? Hang on. So I don't know. I'm not sure they're telling you how to live their life.
But they are.
Or is somebody else writing? Is somebody else analysing how they live their life and then they're
they control it, right? They control. I mean, Donald Trump tried to sort of like restrict them. Then we try to do that here now. I mean, the British are trying to restrict the tech firms, but the Americans are retaliating now, right? But if you actually look at all the rich people in the world, I mean, Lee's come across mega wealthy people, for our careers. I don't recall anyone telling me how to live my life. They tell you what to achieve or how to be, but don't tell you how to live a life, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas these group of people from the Americas and from this shores, they tell you how to behave.
We're all obsessed by it because these people that have had really successful lives, you want to mirror them, don't you? You want to find out what makes them tick and what makes them passionate and successful, and they're just sharing with you their story.
Their journey. But this is it. They just got a story, right? But let's take Roman Abramovich, right? Everyone thinks he's a gangster, he's dirty money, blah blah blah. But maybe he might have he struggled at one point, and he worked with. But he doesn't preach. That's the thing, I think with people with money shouldn't preach.
Well, there's a great book by Ray Dalio called Principles.
Okay.
And he owns the most profitable hedge fund in the world. He's worth about 10.
Yeah, the big
Berkshire 10 billion. And he's wrote this book on principles. And it's basically, he's like, look, I've made it. I've got the most successful hedge fund company in the world. And he said, I just wish every successful person before me had written down their principles in life, because it might have made my journey a bit easier. I want to know the principles of these people that have lived them kind of lives. And his book is all about his principles. And I am blown away by his book. I'm halfway through it at the moment. It's just the most incredible.
But Lee, I mean, you're a successful person, right? You are successful.
I remember when I opened up my first salon, a little salon in Hadley. I discovered Ziggy Ziglar and Anthony Robbins, and I was obsessed by him because being some little punk who went from Neville Daniels, my mum's dining room, I didn't have a clue about business or management or anything really. I had a crazy dad whose principles were all over the place. You know what I mean?
Well, successful.
He was successful, and I suppose I did get my drive from him. But listening to these other people that have made real successes in their life, and not just financial, but have been really happy and content, I've learned, I can, the success I've had in life is definitely down to studying their success.
Right.
For me anyway, it's not the same for everybody.
Yeah, Lee loves self-improvement.
You know what? It's part of his DNA, because when he started as a junior, that's how he started. It stays with you. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't die. And I get exactly where you're coming from, right? And this is the thing, though, right? I think where society is completely misguided is that everybody gets the same information, but it's how they digest it.
Yeah, but you say that, Joe, but not everyone does get the same information, because most people don't read. They don't seek out these people.
Well, they read it, but they can't understand it, right?
They don't even read it, mate. They don't even read it.
They're just looking at the words. They
don't even buy the book. You know what I mean? That's what most people do. They don't get involved at all. And then how the hell are you going to learn? I mean, don't get me wrong. Some people do, and some people make a real success of their life. But if you're trying to muddle through life, learning and learning from your own mistakes, it's going to be a very painful, long journey, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, look, it's like someone said to me, "Do I know anything about Vivaldi? The Four Seasons." I like the music, but I know nothing about him. Right? I don't know nothing about Vivaldi. And she was explaining to me about Vivaldi, his upbringing and blah blah, the Four Seasons. And I thought, how's that going to help me pay my mortgage? You know what I mean?
He's the guy that
Vivaldi's like classical.
Classical music, right? You know the foot. Right, yeah. It's a very famous piece, right?
Yeah.
And someone educated me about Vivaldi.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, I like the music. That's as far as it goes. I don't need to know the rest, because it's not going to help me build up a clientele. It's not going to help me pay my mortgage. So there's certain information you need, but certain information, it just...
Yeah, but don't you think that you have to, wade, you have to kiss a few frogs, don't you?
Of course you do. Look, I remember... there was a friend of mine, right? We were coming back from a nightclub in Tottenham Court Road, about sort of 77, right? And I was sitting in the back of my friend's Ford Escort, yeah. So, we're going down Camden Road, and about 1 o'clock in the morning, and he pulled up beside this Rolls Royce, and my friend pulls up and says to him, "Oi, Mason, you must have won the pools," because those days pools was the biggest monetary thing. And he goes, my friend was saying, nice car, nice car. Now, there's 4 kids in the car, right? I'm sitting in the back. There's Michael Pan's piece from me. And this bloke in the Rolls Royce sort of said, just work hard and you get what you want. Now, out of those 4 kids, who listened?
Don't know.
I did. That's right.
Oh, you was in the back.
Yeah, I was sitting in the back, right, and this guy in the Rolls Royce said, "Thank you very much for the compliment." Because my friend's been sarcastic. Nice car, mister. You must have won the pools, blah 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 blah. And the guy, right, just being nice, he said, "Thank you, guys. Just work hard, and you get what you want." And those 4 kids, I listened. I did.
So what happened to the other 4 kids?
Well, I mean, my friend, one's Michael, I don't know what's happened. Peter was working the rag trade. That doesn't exist anymore. And Pants, Pants, you play golf with him. He went on in Cyprus. You know what I mean? So there's advice out there. It's how you interpret it and who interprets it.
Yeah, I think so how do we solve that today when distraction is everywhere, right?
You can't because
social media, TV, newspapers. I mean, that's what does my head in. People are more concerned with dancing on ice.
You can't. You're lost.
What an actor's done, because that obviously gets 1 million clicks on Google.
Yeah.
As opposed to what we were saying about, a government poll about, when we should, open up again. You would like to think people be more engaged in that conversation.
Yeah, but everyone's always been in a celebrity, isn't they, mate? But everyone's always.
I think society lost. But society lost 30 years ago.
Don't even pick up the book because they're distracted.
Most people don't.
They're distracted by everything else going on
because
around them.
They're not focused and they're not driven.
Yeah.
And the thing is that.
And they're quite easy to blame their failures or something else, right?
And to be quite honest, that's the thing. In our game, I've always believed that in hairdressing, as much as, it is a brilliant industry and I absolutely loved it. I mean, I rung the bell like we all have been involved in it. Yeah. Most people in the industry, it's not like being a solicitor where 90% of them are focused and driven. In hairdressing, it's only 10% of them that are focused and driven. Yeah. So you can rise, quite quickly because the people around you are not like it. Yeah.
Listen, we had advantages as well. Working where we work, right? We had advantages because we love women as well. I mean, when I say we love women, we love women. Do you know what I mean? And that's a quality. I'm not sort of saying no one loves women type of thing, but I'm just sort of saying it is a great industry. But unfortunate thing is, right, it's just so like Aaron said, we're just treading on thin ice in all departments of it now. In all areas of our industry, it just so it's sad to see. It really is sad to see. I mean, me and Aaron, we were talking about this years ago, Lee. We were talking about how fragile the industry is. Even before the lockdown, we knew. I mean, I wish I could sort of say I sold my business because I saw it coming. You know what I mean? This pandemic, but it's not the case. But we knew then, right, that these top salons, Richard Ward's, the Daniel Galvin's, well, not so much Daniel Galvin, Joe Harris, but the Neville's all them, right? They were just giving a complete different image of the industry. I really do believe because we were sort of like seduced by fashion shows, product shows, these and these and these. And Instagram came in, the Facebook came in, Twitter came in. Again, the industry got reliant on those things. Whereas at their day, the most important person, they disregarded, which was a client in front of them. They can't see the client in front of them. They can see the clients back in, who's watching them on Instagram, who's following them on Facebook and things like that. They can see all that, but the person in front of them never did that. I mean, I know myself. I mean, as a hairdresser, working behind a chair, right? My clients never went on Instagram. They never did Facebook to get inspiration.
Sure.
And I think that's where the whole industry suffered big time.
So people are basically putting a lot more focus on their content creation, their social media, and they're putting more value into that bucket than they are in the person.
But we all know. If you get that right, I mean, it's marketing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's marketing.
If you get it right, it's brilliant.
Branding.
If you don't get involved in that in this day and age, you'll do it at your own peril, won't you?
Oh, listen, I agree with you. We talked about it the other day with digital marketing. I totally agree. But I think what I'm trying to say is, right, is that because there's so much noise in this space, right, that you can't, there's certain things you can't say, certain things you can't do, certain things. So you avoid all that as well, don't you? So you want to do this, but there's a path to it. It's like a video game, isn't there? You know, like when you keep dying, right, till you get to the next checkpoint. And then,
but don't you think, though, it's a different game now, and the game is always going to change. I mean, look at Sophia Hilton, for example. I think she's treading it beautifully because she's rock and roll. She's getting her boobs out. You know, she's saying the right thing. She's producing the right. She's as controversial as you can be, but still inspiring and not going over that line. You know what I mean?
But there was that new generation of hairdressers that actually pulled away from, you know, like.
Is she getting the benefit of the doubt because she's a woman, do you think? Or do you think a man could do that in today's...
It's
like David Beckham could probably do that, right? He could say whatever he wants, David Beckham, but he'd get a pass, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know
David Beckham's got a pass, yeah.
I mean, I think someone like Sophia Hilton, you know, comes around once in a generation. They're just man or woman. They just get it right, don't they?
Sure.
But also she actually didn't sort of like go through a number of channels. She didn't want to be in the West End, did she? You know, if you actually.
Well, no, she's from Blackpool. Do you know she actually before she came to London and went to work for Sally Brooks? She told me that she came for an interview at the Soho Salon.
Really?
Yeah.
Wardour Street.
In Wardour Street.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
You turned down Sophia Hilton.
I turned down.
Hang on, that's another headline.
Lee Stafford made Sophia Hilton by turning her down.
Yeah,
when she told me that, I was like, "You made the right move, bro."
Yeah. Exactly. You made it. Yeah, you gave the inspiration, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I think our industry is amazing. I totally agree with Lee, and this is why me and I are still passionate about it. We really are passionate, but we criticise the way it's being looked at, and it's all completely wrong. The messages.
In what way?
Because we actually did this. We actually did it on a survey, right? That all the big boys are making the biggest noises when it comes to the regulations.
Let me give Lee the context. So this was a Save Our Salon campaign that all revolves around VAT. And because hospitality had their VAT reduced from 20% to 5%, a lot of elite salons got on the buzz of, well,
you told me about this, yeah.
So basically, we tried to explore it, didn't we, Joe?
And I know myself, when I first started Draycott Avenue, the amount of animosity I got from my peers, okay, because I took staff away from this and that, you know, the last thing they want to do, right, see you succeed. Yeah, so it's a very competitive industry, but it's nasty. I mean, now there's a sort of narrative that we all be one big family, but people like me, so you know what, you're wolves in sheep's clothing. There's no way, right, that I'm going to take you seriously.
I mean, it's always been competitive,
which is fine,
which is great,
like any business and any industry, and you just got to get on with it, haven't you? You just got to get to the top of the league, haven't you?
I mean, when I got my first accountant, right, he said to me, "Don't worry what other people are doing. You know, this as a salon owner, you don't worry what every Tom, Dick, and Harry is doing." So yes, you know, Neville's going through this, Daniel's doing this, you know, Villas doing, Lee's got his stuff. All the people that I know all got their brands out there, but it didn't hinder me. Bravo to you all, but it didn't stop me from having my principles. That people do worry, don't they? You know, hence why they're always looking for answers. But the answer is just there in front of you, which is the client in itself. Because you know, Lee and Aaron, when you got a client in front of you, right, in a mirror, you could be anywhere in the world. I mean, I've worked in many places around the world, right? A chair in a mirror is just a chair in a mirror. Okay. Yeah, I could be in the moon doing a haircut, right? It's still be a chair and a mirror, still doing a haircut. You know, what difference? So I don't understand why people just never saw the beauty of that, really. So you don't have to sort of like try and change. It's like try and reinvent the wheel. It's not going to happen. And I think that's where the industry has really lost itself, is that it's, you know, there's too many shampoos out there, there's too many blow dry lotion, there's too many of all these kind of things, right? And they all say the same thing. You know, so who's right? Really, at the end of the day. I think that's where the industry has to really, and I keep saying all the time to Aaron, we have to go back to basics in order to go forward. Because right now, you know, with this pandemic, I was saying the other day, I would not be in a comfortable position for the coming few years within the industry. I'll be so worried.
What do you mean in the context of if you still had a salon, you had to navigate this whole reopening, sanitizing?
It must be a nightmare. It must be a nightmare. And the other thing that, for me, always drove me crazy in this industry, and it's even worse now, is that back in the days, you remember when the computer on the desk was protected because that's where all the clients' details were. Yeah. And if a stylist couldn't get or couldn't bribe or blackmail the receptionist that list, they couldn't really move, right?
That's right.
Well, now, you know, every stylist has got every client on their Instagram or Facebook, and you know, stylists just can leave whenever they want, and basically they just got you over a barrel, haven't they? Because
the stuff is key. Stuff is key.
Employer.
It's ruined it, because the thing is, when you know, I haven't had salons now for a few years, but you know, in the end, I was walking around on eggshells because, you know, if I had a new system that I wanted to put in place, it might just be a new consultation, for example, right?
Yeah.
Tested this new consultation, it gets better results, right? You try implementing that to your team. I don't want to do a consultation like that. My client likes the consultations the way I do them. And if you force it through, they leave and they take all their clients with them. I mean, it's very hard to build a business now.
So it's very hard to manage the quality of what you're churning out. This is what we've been saying.
I mean, Charles Worthington always, my finance director of Lee Stafford Education, was the finance director of Charles Worthington before he had his brand, during his brand, and after exit. And basically, Charles Worthington, because his partner, husband, you know, ruled the salon with an iron fist, right? Very different to how I run it. You know?
Yeah, he was an architect or something like that, was he? Something like that.
Charles did. I think Charles was going to study that, but his partner was a hard-nosed businessman, and everyone had to have their hair in a certain way. Everyone had to do their consultation in a certain way. It was run like a military operation, and if any stylist didn't do exactly what the steps were, then they were gone, right? So consequently, what happened is that if a stylist left, the client might follow them, but then they'd go to this other salon where they weren't treated like a queen.
That's right.
The person didn't know how many sugars they had in their coffee and all the service and trapping. So Charles Worthington, they're all going back for the Charles Worthington experience. You know,
that's right.
Stylist, you know.
Well, yeah, it's quite interesting because I think every salon owner, I mean, and I learned this, right, was that if a stylist leaves, about 50% of their clients will still stay with you because they're the salon clients. They're not because I don't believe a hairdresser has every right to every client on this. I mean, I know when I left Neville's to start my salon, Draco Avenue, I probably had about 40% of my clients turn up at me. Seriously. 60%.
How far was the salon away, though?
Well, you're talking about Pond Street. You're talking about Draco Avenue. As crows fly, 500 yards.
Right.
500 yards, mate. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I had stylists leave me and take a lot of their clients, you know, so they have got the power to do that, and it's very hard to build a business when that can happen.
But that's the beauty about not being regulated. You know, in free competition, free enterprise. You know, you got to take the thick with the smooth as well. Like, you know what I mean? Because it creates this kind of environment, right? You know, by trying to have restrictions into it, it suffocates, and you cannot suffocate a hairdresser. because we are non-conformist people. You try to conform us, it doesn't work. I mean, you're a non-conformist. I'm definitely a non-conformist. I'm not sort of saying we're law breakers. We have a set of rules that we go by, and we live by it, which is still like bravo. But we're still quite non-conformist. And you cannot suffocate that, which is where I think the whole industry is where it is now. It's trying to conform, and like I said, with social media, with regulations, with products, with styles, everything. If you actually look at Instagram, it's all the same look. The back of a hairstyle, a bit of wave, a bit of color. It's all the same look. There's nothing inspirational about it.
That is the trend, mate, isn't it? When we look back on this decade, it's all going to be long, wavy, arched hair, isn't it? That's it.
Yeah.
That's the look. I mean, every era it's got look, and that's ours, isn't it?
But it's been like that for about 20 years, hasn't there? I mean,
long hair's only been big for about 10 years.
Do you think?
It's about 10 years.
I mean, which was the last great inspirational haircut?
Well, when you go back to from
Rachel, friends.
Before we had the curl, what did we have? Was it straight? Was it straight? It was poker straight, wasn't it?
Well, that was poker straight was more early 90s, also.
No, it was late 90s.
No, I think the last great hairstyle was Jennifer Aniston. Mid 90s to late 90s.
It was much. GHD didn't come out in 2000.
2000. That was about 2006.
Right. So you had a decade from 2000 to 2010 where hair was poker straight.
Yeah,
that was it. And then it went from poker straight to wavy.
It's a big blow dry.
And when you think of poker straight hair, there was all little haircuts, weren't there? I mean, you might have had some people that had longer, but everyone was having haircuts with the straight hair.
Yeah.
Now it's not haircuts; it's just
texture,
long, natural wavy hair, isn't it?
Extensions. No, you're not wrong there. Actually, I kind of sort of see that, but it's been completely uninspirational, though, hasn't it? Really, if you think about it, because the last great hairstyle that I probably think was probably Jennifer Aniston. The Rachel look. That sort of wonderful texture, all these sort of jagged edges around the front.
Well, you had the pob, didn't you? That massive, wasn't it?
Lopsided bobs.
That was when she went from cutting all of her hair extensions out.
Yeah, she had the bob, didn't she?
That's right.
Impact, Joe.
And then you had the other one. What was the other one where she had the asymmetric? Which girls allowed, was it? She had that asymmetric.
Yeah.
Was it not Cheryl? One of them. She had that look.
I think my clothes were too old by that time. They weren't having that,
I think the bigger question, though, is, like, you was obviously both talking about competition earlier on. And if we do over-regulate a creative industry, will that suffocate the competition? Will that make it even worse?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because you're not going to get the right people going into the industry. See, it's not so much people being in the industry; it's you want the right people to be in the industry, don't you? You want the people to be aspirational and to sort of take that leap forward. But if you go through a sort of very robotic type of generation of hairdressers, that's what it's going to be. I mean, the interesting thing, I was talking to David, my friend David, right? And he was talking, in medicine, AI, they got, with these surgeons, right? They got AI behind them, replicating their moves into doing surgery. So they're actually absorbing all the information, all the data from a surgeon's operation, right, going into the AI. So eventually, the AI would be doing minor surgeries. This is in the near future. So if they're going to start doing minor surgeries in the near future, eventually they're going to do all the surgeries. So I'm thinking, would hairdresser be like that as well? Because here you are, Lee, you do the haircut and you've got an AI behind you who's actually watching the way you move around. Because it's all about flair. To do a haircut is all about flair, isn't it? Right?
Well, it is, but you could pretty much, there's a lot of technique there. I mean, I reckon 99.9% of haircuts an AI could copy.
Yeah, that's right.
As long as the person, I know what you're saying, Joe. Flair is like where a client sits down and says, I don't know what to have, and you go, well, that's it.
I leave it to me.
And you'll do it, right? I mean, an AI might find that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But if the person goes, I want that.
Yeah.
What Aaron did, you know,
choose on the menu.
Choose on the menu.
1 to 9.
Yeah.
Give me number 9.
Well, it might be 100 different looks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And AI eventually, I mean, we were talking about will AI ever take over industry? You know, you think about it, it will take over the industry. I can sort of see it.
I'll share with Lee that robot video, that guy in his garage who made a robot cutting machine. Yeah. And although it wasn't perfect, it doesn't require him to do a lot of tweaking to make it perfect.
Yeah,
I mean, there's an existential threat there on hairdressing in 10, 15 years time.
Exactly. So, again, right, the industry is completely unaware because, the psychology or the mentality is, right, AI will never ever take our business. It does and it will. And you need to embrace it because, again, right, you talk about the public liability insurance is all coming out now, right? Yeah. I mean, can you imagine
regulation on steroids? That is, isn't it?
A client, right, would eventually sue you for cutting her hair millimeter too short. One strand of hair, 1 millimeter too short, she'll be able to sue you.
I don't know to say that when I call it.
Well, I'll tell you, it will, because it will cause that person emotional stress, right? And I'm not sorry saying America, but parts of the world, you can sue for anything, right? You can sue for anything. And that's how we're becoming. Again, the industry is putting all these things into place for it, right? Again, they don't understand what they're doing. Yes, they want to do this, they want to protect this and this and this. By who they're protecting.
Well, we talk about this all the time. This is the unintended consequences, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, a lot of these people that are kind of, going public and they're putting their stuff on social and one voice and all that, they're not thinking it through because obviously if they get their way, what is the industry going to look like in 5 years' time when, for a client to come in for a consultation, patch test, this, that, and the other. We've got to send it off to a lab, and then you've got to come back in later. You've got to go through all these processes.
Yeah, but a patch test, you can understand that, can't you?
Yeah, no,
but technology would be solving that, though. Technology would solve that.
Yeah, but how expensive is that technology then for the salon owners to then have to buy? You said it was about a mirror, scissors and a comb and a mirror, and that's what hairdressing is about.
It is, but unfortunately, regulations, right, is bringing all these things into play, though. Because how are you going to get around regulations? Technology. How are you going to get around about staff holidays and things like that? Employment laws, technology. You get all through this, right? Through employment laws in technology or something. I mean, let's go back to the VAT thing, right? Now, I was thinking about this. What made the industry think they're the same level as the hospitality section, right? You, Lee and Aaron and me, right? We could do one haircut in an hour, right? In the hospitality sector, they have to serve 100 people. You know what I mean? So again, the hairdressing industry trying to get the same breaks as the hospitality sector.
Yeah,
why?
It's completely different. Yeah.
Why?
But this was our point, wasn't it? This was our point. The point was we're not the same as hospitality. We work a time-based service. We can only do so many things in 1 hour. Whereas if you're a hospitality, you can serve 100 meals in that 1 hour. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that they're trying to use what's happening in hospitality and treat us with the same, it's like we're completely separate. We shouldn't even be exposed to VAT.
Exactly. I mean, Lee, can I ask you a question, right? When you did your pricing in your salons, right? Did you account for the VAT in your haircuts?
No.
No, we never did. But that's where again, right? I mean, I'll be admitting that I was privy to that. We should have done. I think we should have done. We should have passed the VAT onto the client, like most industries have done so, right? Rather than sort of take it off the hairdresser. I
mean, you would always say how much is your bill, and you'd say, I don't know, whatever it is, 50 quid. You should really say 50 quid plus VAT.
That's right. I think that's what. Well, that's what we should have done.
Hairdressers scared to charge money, mate. It's always been the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
But is right? So here we go. So here's the question: is regulation going to solve that? Because obviously we've got a body of people that think if we regulate, then we can charge more money.
Well,
what is a chicken and egg? What do you think?
I think that I don't. I think the regulation would be a good thing if it could be done properly. But the problem is, no one's doing it properly, are they?
No.
And it's just a sham.
Well, that because we discovered, right, it's only for the 7% of the industry, whereas 93% of the industry, right, it's going to destroy them. We discovered that, but the government knows that. It's not like we know it.
Yeah.
Why would it destroy them?
Because, Aaron, we saw a lot. Most hairdresser salons, right, are below the VAT threshold.
Yeah.
Right. So you start bringing, not so much they don't want to sort of reduce the VAT, right? They want to bring regulations in. So when you start becoming regulations in, you're going to make it stricter, tighter.
What you mean regulations in the sense of, you've got to have
an accessory to be sort of to pass off a shampoo. You're gonna have this some protocols and things like that, right? Most hairdresser salons work under the radar. They provide a service to the community. They provide employment to the community and things like that.
Right. And they provide health and well-being to the community, right?
But exactly.
Didn't I hear in Japan or something that's all regulated out there? And in Japan, hairdressers are really respected and they earn good money out there. I think that the problem is because anyone can get into the industry and open up a salon and start cutting hair, probably does take the professionalism away from it a little bit, and people don't take it as serious. The problem is, it's just, there's no governing body or institution that's come along.
Okay. There's plenty of governing bodies here.
All right. Well, let's extrapolate on what Lee's just said there. So, look, measure both of your careers and how they began and how they turned out under the auspices of having to be regulated from day one.
There was never.
He wouldn't have been able to cut hair in his kitchen. He wouldn't have got his.
No, but I've had to find a different way, wouldn't I?
Yeah,
I mean, when we say regulated, it's just a bit like a dentist. You'd want someone to go to a reputable school. Have a reputable, exam and pass it. You just want to know that someone has been through some serious professional training, and there's a lot of people out there that haven't. They might go to college, leave college with a certificate, but that ain't worth a light. Set up a shop.
Apprenticeship is dead, basically speaking, isn't it? It's more so like in line with academies,
MVQ,
colleges, MVQ.
Well, no, because the new one's going to be the T level, isn't it? Which is the new apprenticeship. I mean, I was the chair of that.
How does that work then? How does that work?
Well, it's just a new MVQ basically.
Right.
It's the new name for the MVQ. It's the new apprenticeship. I was the chair for the Department of Education.
So it was your idea then?
No, it wasn't my idea. It was just that for years and years, we're all complaining about this and that, like we are now, and there was this. And the Department of Education were setting up a board, and they were looking for people to go onto this board to instigate the new T level, and
to move the conversation forward.
So were they not happy then with the present MVQ education system?
No, well, it was time based, weren't it?
Yeah.
Basically, you can pass a level 2 MVQ in 9 months, and everyone agreed pretty much across the board that people need to be doing hair for 2 years before they can.
And also with this new T level, you have to go out and spend 41 days, I think it is,
in a pro
salon. Yeah,
it's a bit like the American cosmetology where they've got so many hours behind them. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a little bit of that.
It's right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be interesting because.
That isn't. But Joe, this isn't regulation. This is where I think the conversation gets diluted. I think
that's education. That's education.
That's education, and that's obviously learning your craft. Yeah. Regulation / registration is about signing up. Registration. I don't agree with that argument at all. That's just sign up to a list and give us 50 quid a year.
Yeah, but that's no
keep
good.
on this.
No one's ever going to take that seriously. It's not credible.
Well, that's.
I was dinner.
Yeah.
Dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, your dinner's ready.
Dinner's ready.
I'm gonna get my Deliveroo. I'm gonna order Deliveroo.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think
we've been going for an hour and a half, so.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. About 2 hours. I needed 2 hours.
2 hours. Wow.
Well, we started 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we had a few teething problems, didn't there? Anyway, good to see you, Joe.
Lovely to speak to you, darling.
Mate. Yeah, you too, mate. I'll see you soon.
Right, so part 1, Death and Taxes.
Yeah.
What's the name for part 2?
All right then.
All
Enjoy
right,
dinner.
Mate.
All right, take care. Regards. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, what do you think of that? If you enjoyed it and you want to support the show, then leave a like, review or rating wherever you get your podcasts. For Podcasting 2.0, download Breeze app or Sphinx Chat to support your podcasters directly.